Hey guys, I just wanted to show off a few trades or graphic novels as they're more colloquially known. These are books that I suggest these books personally. If you're a DC fan, these are books that you absolutely need to read at least or own them in my opinion if you can. These books are just fantastic. Each one has their own merits and their own flaws, obviously, but um, I think they are all just fantastic reads. I mean, some of them are very heavy to read. Some of them are very thick and dense, especially these two. Crisis on Infinite Earth, Watchmen. Obviously, everyone knows Watchmen. The movie was great, but just not as in depth or as deep as the comic book is. Obviously, the movie was decent, I guess. There's more that I can say is that it was decent. It followed the plot okay, but there's a lot of depth missing. That's all I can say. Anyway, you get Crisis on Infinite Earths. Obviously, this book is very hard to read and it's very hard to get into because there's so much history and so many characters thrown into it. It's fucking hectic. Um, the problem with it is that it's written in a fashion where it's very difficult to describe. It's more because the thought balloons and just the normal dialogue bubbles. They are written in such a way that it make it very hard for you to follow. Well, not really hard to follow. It's more they're unnecessary. A lot of them explain to you, okay, this is what's happening, and then you read the thought bubble, thought balloon, and then it says, okay, well, this is what's happening. It's like, oh, what the fuck? Why does this character say this, and the writer gives me this information as well? Now that was the common practice during all the comic book history until the 1980s. So this came out in 1984 and then lasted until 85, I think. So it was really from here that comics books really started to change. Because in the 70s, this was basically the norm up until like 84. But this book is really important for DC Comics history, so you really need to read it at least once to kind of understand the scope and the magnitude of the DC universe and why this book was so important. But yeah, either way, it's a very good read. It'll take you a long time to get through it the first time, but I know it did me. It took me at least like two sittings to get through it because I was like, what the fuck? But this book is it flows when you get into it. You can't put it down. That's what I like about this, about Watchmen. Now, next book is called Batman: The Killing Joke, written by Alan Moore, art by Brian Bolland, who does the cover, which is just fantastic. Um, this book is the quintessential Joker book. Everyone knows it. Everyone talks about it. Everyone raves about it. The thing you need to know about this is it deals with some harsh subject matter. It's all up to interpretation at the end of the day. Um, Also, there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of you know really awkward situations that Batman's put in. The ending is really what sells people on the book. The Killing Joke should be kind of an in joke. But anyway, you should really buy this. Oh, not buy it. I'm not gonna fucking do that. You should really read it at least. Also, at least once. Um, yeah, Alan Moore. He does Batman Killing Joke and he does Watchmen. Both these books are very well written, but they're written in such a way that it's more. At the time, this kind of writing was not really prevalent in American comics. It was more from 2000 AD comics, that kind of writing style. More thoughtful, more inventive, more creative. That's the kind of writing Alan Moore does. But yeah, whatever you think about him today, he did some great shit back in the 80s. The next book I'd like to talk about is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, Klaus Janson, and Lynn Varley. This book is basically the ultimate Batman book. It's like, obviously, it's not the contemporary Batman, like in continuity's sake. This Batman has his own continuity, his own story. There's a new book, Dark Knight Returns, a new Batman Dark Knight series going on at the moment called The Master Race. That's the third volume of this kind of series. There was another one also called Dark Knight Strikes Again. That's the second volume. Now this I'm pointing out this one specifically because this one is where it all started, and this one is by far the best. If you ask anyone which Batman story you need to read, it's this one. Definitely. The artwork is just it's very well done for its time as well. It's very unique as well. You don't see that anymore. It's kind of strange. Yeah, this book I highly recommend. I've read it at least 5 times at least. It's great. It's also quite easy to get through. There's a lot of text, but it is quite easy when you get into it. The next book is Kingdom Come, written by Mark Waid and art by Alex Ross. This is basically a commentary on basically 90s superheroes. It's a trying to explain to you how fast and loose characters from like Image Comics and Wildstorm are acting, because Image is like the rebellious child. Image Comics, they do all like violent stuff, and it's basically where creators went when they left Marvel to create their own characters and do some shit that they weren't allowed to do at Marvel. Create their own stuff, create their own stories, and basically own their own characters that they created. Now, what Kingdom Come tries to do is it basically tells you these young heroes have lost their way, and the old superheroes are coming back to say, whoa, you need to step back and you need to stand still for a bit and just fucking look at what you're doing. Now, this book, to me, it's about hypocrisy and that kind of stuff. It's like, it's easy to judge when you're sitting on the sidelines, but when you get your hands dirty and you see what the world has become, it's just, it's just kind of bad. And the reason I say it's about hypocrisy is because Mark Waid is still writing comics today, really. He's done some great shit like Captain America stuff and Fantastic Four. He's busy with an Avengers run and a Champions run at Marvel Comics. Now, the reason I think this book is about hypocrisy is because he is one of the big hypocrites in this situation, the writer. Now, the reason I say that is because he doesn't practice what he preaches in this book, right? He's also one of those judgy guys who tells you what to think. Especially, he's one of those guys who's like hectic on Twitter. When people criticize him, he blocks them, and he judges people who don't vote for the same people he does, whatever. He's a very politically active person who's very hypocritical, in my opinion. But anyway, that being said, this book is still very solid, and it does age very well. The artwork is fantastic. It's just like the cover. The entire book through. Now, this last book I want to talk about, the Superman Secret Origin, written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank. Just like the cover, this is what it looks like inside. This book has a very special place in my heart, because this is what basically the definitive origin of Superman for the modern age. It came out 10 years ago. It's still solid. There's like you don't need to change it at all. It'll basically, if you need to do another origin story, I don't think you'll ever come close to this. This book is written and drawn, and the emotions that you feel when you read it. because basically the likeness that's drawn here is obviously of Christopher Reeve from the 1978 Superman movie. So if you really like Superman, this is the book to get you into his history, his mythology, and just an all-round sense of what Clark Kent and Kal-El are both like. So I really recommend it. I can't recommend it enough, really. Out of all of these books, that's the one I read the most often because it just gets me. Okay, guys, that was just a little sampling of the kind of books that I have in my collection. I just wanted to share with you some of the core books that you need to read, at least, for DC Comics as a whole, just to get a sense of what the universe is like and the important books that they've actually put out there in the last, 30 years or in the last 70. But anyway, these are the most important ones, in my opinion, for the foreseeable future. There's a bunch of others that I can show off, and I will in future videos, but these are the essential books. Okay, guys, thank you. Just if you want, leave a like, subscribe, and share this video if you really like it. Thanks. Bye.